I'm here at Jersey with Mr. Hefflamp. Hello. Where are we? We're in Jersey. We're not in America. No, we're not in America. Okay. And yeah, my sunburn is now immense. I've not been here in Jersey since I was 9 years old, so I'm going to revisit some old places and see some new ones. And well, I went and booked my seat on the plane just about 2 hours after check-in opened online, and I only had 2 seats left, and I thought, oh bum, there's a middle seat, and it got to me being the only person that was in the last batch of people to be called when it came to take the seat, and I thought, great, that's nice. But in the end, no one turned up for the window seat, so I got a window seat to myself all the way, which was very nice. 35-minute flight, like the distance it takes to get, the time it takes to get to London on an express. There's nothing. Right, I'm off to St. Peter's now, bit of a walk. So I've walked straight from the airport, about 20-minute walk or so around the outside of the airfield. It's very nice, just the only one there. So I've walked to St. Peter's Village, and I know it's shut years ago, but this was one of my favourite places when I visited when I was 9 years old, St. Peter's Bunker. It was run for over 30 years. The guy had a private collection of World War II memorabilia, things to do with the German occupation of Jersey. And it was all open as a museum, and when he died, well, it was after the millennium, it was about 2010 or something, all his collection was sold off. So, ooh, across the road safely, there we are. And so now, this is it. Looking very homely, actually. You know, it's nice wally bit. I just chatted to a lady waiting for a bus the other side of the street, and she said to me, there's a couple of steps go up and the bunker's just round there. So here we are, a couple of steps up, and the bunker's just there. So at the age of 9, I went down those steps, and I enjoyed the visit. So there it is. Whoopie-doo. I'm so impressed with myself. I'm halfway between St. Peter's Village now and the Jersey War tunnels as they are. Knew it better as the German Underground Hospital. Just sort of catch my breath for a minute as I'm going up and down the hills, and just stopped here, and this nice valley thing. Now, if this was the UK, you'd think this was a castle knot, but it's not, so it isn't. So I've walked several miles today already. That was quite a long walk, that one from St. Peter's to here. It's changed. Look at that, so different. Remember there being a massive white concrete entrance, massive arch, and 2 concrete slabs going off on either side. Not now. Okay, so I was wrong, it's round the side. Not quite as big as I remember it. I mean, it's big, but probably about 50% bigger. You don't want to see what's happened to the blisters on my leg. It's getting foul.
And taken into desperation.
So here's a sad story. Very violent, very sad. And the only way I've managed to identify the address out of loads of others, because the number wasn't given, just the street, is because there is a photograph of the murder scene just after it was all cleared up, and you can see this light fitting thing on the wall, which isn't present on the other buildings. And indeed, it actually looks like no one's been living in that ground flat for ages. If they have, they're keeping it in a very poor state. It just looks like someone's storage shed, and the door's in a really bad state. So this is back in August 2011. A man called Damian Rizalski. He was a Polish immigrant living here with his wife and his 2 kids. And after finding out his wife had been having an affair, he just went berserk. He killed his father-in-law in the bedroom. Then he went to the kitchen and he killed his 2-year-old son. Then he went to the living room and killed his 5-year-old daughter and her 5-year-old friend. And then he went out into the street and straight to the back garden, and he chased down the friend's mother and killed her, and she died out in the street just here in front of the building. And then he killed his own wife and she died in hospital, and then he tried to kill himself. He didn't manage. He got convicted of manslaughter in the end, and he killed himself in prison some years later. So all these places look so insignificant. It's the worst murder case that Jersey's ever seen. And it was here, in Victoria Crescent in St Helier. Sad story. So day 2 begins. I went out for a Thai meal last night, and then I went back and I went to bed about 9 and slept for a good 10 hours at least. Lovely sleep. The pain in my legs today is less than it was. It's still big, but it's not agonizing anymore. It's just painful. So things are getting better there. And today, this morning, off to Elizabeth Castle. Where are we going? Off to Elizabeth Castle. Yeah. We had a Thai meal last night, didn't we? I didn't remember that. Oh, you wouldn't. Bit rude. And that's what's taken us over there. So back for the first time in 44 years. I've not been here before. You weren't around then, Heffy. Wasn't I? No. Maybe I have been here before. You've not been here before, Heffy. Haven't I? No, you haven't. So I begin. I'm going to recreate a photo that was taken right here in 1979. This bank was clear of plants then, and there was a load of stones at the side. But I've leveled things up and I think it's going to work. Let's walk into one of the German bunkers. Hello, I'm a Nazi. Heffy, it's inappropriate. What? Oh, Heffy. Yeah, well done, but still inappropriate. Inappropriate? Or you could do a great show in here. Interactive show, different rooms. Marvellous. Great, that's a little triangle room there. There's a big gun in there. And I don't know what's in there. A fan extractor, something or other. Not at all creepy.
And attack quite essentially pointy things, you know, arrows and also siege weapons, you know, the boulders that get popped in and all the rest of it. It wasn't built to withstand the armaments that came into being with gunpowder. So we're talking. Are we all here? Not quite. If you wanted to sort of come around a little bit and then you can actually see what I'm talking about, that would be true. And actually then my voice is coming up. It's nice, okay. Not to anyone trying to attack. That is a medieval form of weaponry, essentially. If you're going to do that, that would be at Montorgueil, because that's a medieval castle. Here, they just load up their cannon and they blast their attackers, hopefully. Everybody here, well, welcome to the parade ground of Elizabeth Castle. This is sort of, I guess, what the beating heart of our 18th century castle, or where it would have been. When you go in, go to the end, to the chamber where the gun is, stand behind it, and I suspect your first thought will be that I can't see what I would have been firing at. And indeed, the gunners wouldn't have been able to see what they were firing at. Have a look on your left-hand side. There's a little chamber with the cannon in. It's very low. Headroom is low, so if you do go in there later, please watch your head. Okay? So this is the first set of steps, big proper set of steps of wall. As long as you can okay. So let's look at that rock. Let's imagine there is no chapel-like structure. There is no castle. St Helier III of Henry VIII's legitimate children to sit on the throne of England. She was preceded by her younger brother Edward VI, son of James Seymour. She was preceded by her elder sister Mary I, who was the daughter of Catherine of Aragon. And then, as you said rightly, she is the daughter of Anne Boleyn, and she... Okay, so where we are now, well, let's look at what the strength of the staff be. Did Queen Elizabeth I come and visit Jersey? The answer is no. Very few English/British monarchs in the early days did come here, as far as we know. He certainly didn't. I suppose you could argue that Charles is very top. Now, do you remember way back when at the West Bastion? We were discussing toilet facilities. So we've reached almost the top of the castle. What I'd like for you to do is the fire control tower. Do you remember we talked about it on the parade ground? So you can see why the coordinates for the gun in the parade ground.
Here I am, top of Elizabeth Castle. Tour done. Legs still aching from the sunburn. Walking really slowly. going to go back down to the parade ground in a minute. See stuff down there. I've got stuff to film that I saw on the way up and we didn't stop at, so I'll do that as well on the way back. What do you think of it, Heffy? What do you think of what? What do you think of the tour? It wasn't a tour. I was been on a tour. Didn't think you were. I was here in my bag. Well, I wasn't listening, was I, if there was a tour? And I don't think there was one anyway. Have a look over Jersey. We're not in Jersey. We're in America. Yeah, we're in America. Right, now I'm in it by myself. Let's go and have a look in the bunker. Oh, it's been nicely laid out. You can make this into an amazing holiday cabin. If it didn't freak you out. Oh, dark and spooky. It's only a little dark room. It's funny thing is the phone makes it look much brighter than it is. It's not even a phone anyway, it's a camera. I knew that. Ow, nearly tripped. A sophisticated toilet. Just what you need on my holiday video. Oh, we didn't see this. No. Spooky place. There's a door here and this door's open. I wonder if there's a dead body inside. No. Just another thing. A vaulted thing. Smelling musty. Right, carry on back down the stairs. Film some more stuff. That's what I'm doing, I'm filming stuff. It's back down on the level below. More bunkery stuff. Not facing out to sea. This is for people who are hydrophobic and scared of the sea. None of the windows look out to the sea, so you can pretend that the sea's not there. This is the pigeon garrison. They're here to control the seagulls. They don't do a very good job. Ooh. This was a big old house thing that was here, and this is all that's left of it. This is the kitchen, as you can see by the great big fireplace and the post box at the side. That's for sending your letters to Santa. And up the chimney, can't see Ethel, but out the window you can see the sea, because that's where it is. And there we are. This is all fenced off. You can't see, I'm just pointing through a grill. What's down there? Nazis! So I'm now going down to the lower bit, and I'm going to go and see the Hermitage. But I'm stopping in here first. Very low doorway, and inside there's a cannon. Old and wrinkly. But enough about you. I didn't get closer to it, but that's my own fault. So that is the building, this one there. That's where Walter Raleigh stayed. He isn't there now, because he had his head chopped off. Because he was a total wang. Don't want to totally miss the stuff going on in the parade ground before I go down. He's probably most of the way through his little presentation anyway. Anyway, here's a ghost. As you can hear, being a ghost, most of the sound he makes isn't actually audible. It just sounds like drills and hammers and poles and things being thrown about, because that's the noise that ghosts make. Walking along the breakwater now. See the castle's behind me. And this ruin here used to be, it's called Cabbage House. It used to be the house of Mr. Cabbage. And Mr. Cabbage lived in Jersey from 1326 until 1894. He lived quite a long life. And what he used to do... Shut up, Seagull, I'm talking. Shut up. Rude. And what? And what he'd do is every morning when he'd wake up, he'd throw a cabbage out to sea, and by doing that, he'd guarantee good fishing for all the fishermen. Thing is, no cabbages grow on Jersey, so he brought a couple from the mainland. He did that for 2 days, and then that was it. There was nothing left to do. And so he stayed here for about 500 years. But they still knew him as Mr. Cabbage, even though they only threw cabbages for the first 2 days in the 14th century. Absolutely true story. And that's one of the reasons why Jersey is also known as cabbage. You ever heard of Jersey cabbage? It's absolutely real. It's a little sculpture that was installed a few years ago as a little monument to Mr. Cabbage. But more modern history now. No cabbages involved in this, but mines. Yours as well. So this is obviously a German bunker from World War II, and this were all the mines that were laid out to sea. It's gonna sound like I'm joking now, but this is serious. It's very serious. All the mines that were laid out to sea, they were controlled to detonate if somebody pressed the right buttons. So if they saw British ships coming, they would have, set the mines off remotely from in here. Which is a nasty thing to do, but then Nazis aren't funny. See if you can see in there. Probably can.
The darkness.
Hope you enjoyed that. Got a fantastic view of the interior of that bunker. Sort around the outside. That's the end of the breakwater there. They're going to make it longer apparently, but it kept getting destroyed by storms, so they just sort of like sorted it out and finished it early in the I was going to say the 1880s, but it might be the 1890s, but as I don't know and you honestly don't give a flying F, I'm not going to say anything about it. But now I'm going to go up the stairs to the Hermitage. I left it a minute or two because there was other people up there. If they're still there now, I'm going to throw them off. Not at all dangerous to reach from here. Actually, it probably could manage it, but I'm not going to risk it. My legs hurt too much. Medieval phone box. That's it. It was one groat for 3 hours. Those were the days. So I've gone straight up Hermitage Rock, and to my amazement, this is always meant to be locked, but today it's open. So here's the story, right? This monk, 6th century, comes across here, goes, oh God, 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 me like God, and also me like God, me not like human beings very much, which tends to be the case for certain people of religious ilks. So he came out to a rock here in the bay and apparently lived for years doing this. And one day saw some pirates come in, and the pirates they chopped his head off, and then he walked for 200 yards with his head under his arm and scared the pirates off. And that's how this place got named St. Helier, because his name was St. Heliard, apparently. Well, he wasn't called a saint at the time. Lots of echo in here. You might hear this noise going. And that's because that's the noise he used to make. So this was made in the 12th century to sit on top of where his shrine used to be. And now people walk up here and they go. It's very satisfying doing that. You can actually hear the phasing of my voice as I do it in tone with the acoustics of the room. And there's a castle over there. I'm going to go back onto land in a minute, and yeah. What you doing? I'm filming you, sitting in the gate. Don't do it. Hello. I'm an elephant. So I'm back again. They've all been possessed by the ghost. Madness. Oh, I'm going to go see the German bunker before I go back to the boat. I might have to come back here one day because I've been like 3 hours just about, And I haven't done any of the buildings in the middle here, all these exhibition bits. I might live another 44 years. Just go around the corner here. There we are, there's the building with the face on it. Zoom back a bit. There we are. Right, let's hit this German bunker. Okay, here we are in the bunker. It says there's an eye above your head, or someone's going to stick a dumbbell on top of it. Right, oh, dark. Darky spooky. Darky spooky. Wouldn't want to be in here with the lights off, thank you very much. So, bunks, I reckon. There we are. There's a room here. There's another room down here. What they use this for? Ah, that was the room they had for shit. That's the big thing room, and that's another one like another room that I saw earlier. And here's the big gun. Big gun. And I'm going to go back out again. Hope you enjoyed that. That was fascinating, because I'm a war historian, me. All being taken off by the ghosts to steal their souls forever. Why would you do that? Why would you give up your soul to the ghost of a soldier that sounds like machinery? Strange questions have been asked. No admittance. So I'm walking back down to the duck now. Yeah, to the duck. Not you though, ducky. No, not you. Yeah, you're a princess. It's getting quite warm, I have to say. I'm sweating a bit. So that's the old hospital building, which is being renovated. I don't know if I had the narration earlier on from the guide, Tracy, but they used a lot of the wood from it to burn at the end of the occupation, and so it's been derelict for years. They're trying to refurb it and open it up, which would be nice, wouldn't it? Be nice. So I'm going to head down here, and I've got an hour and 10 minutes before my next trip starts, so I thought I'd get there nice and early to be in time. Doing my last bit up here. So I'll go back to 8 because there's no duck there yet. So the guardhouse, built around 1810. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what that said. And this is where they store all the disabled people. Anyone comes in a wheelchair, they stick them up here, leave them there, and they wait till whoever's with them has finished the trip here, which is really not on in this day and age. Obviously there's people in there, but they're ghosts. Obviously.
Big old door.
Just wait the padlock off.
Trying not to drop the key.
Nah, it's attached to me. I've learned too many times. Every doorway is going to be a challenge. Okay, yeah, just watch your head and watch for the trip hazards.
Thank you.
I'm going to go that way to start with.
Thanks.
Yeah, every doorway is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Is it better for me to wear a card?
Is
it on my coat?
Than this?
Oh, isn't it? Okay.
No, just watch your head and watch the trip hazards as you come through. Definitely watch your head.
that we did, most of our vehicles were
The N27. Well, we call it the Millbrook bunker because the area here is called Millbrook.
Okay.
So it's just easier to remember. The area the Germans would call Resistance Nest Millbrook, that consisted of a few sites. It's a Type 621 M27, but I wouldn't call it that. It's called Millbrook bunker.
Millbrook bunker.
Yeah.
Just when I'm looking at the map, I can say what was there.
Yeah, and right now we're in the middle spot, right in the middle of the south coast, all right?
Cool.
And the area here is thankfully called Millbrook, so you can say that. I think when they're still alive in their 80s with a big family beneath them, it's just ended up here. Yeah.
on 2,000 business, 2,000 rifles when they were captured.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of ammunition from...
So unless I'm much mistaken, this bunker's called Millbrook, which is really odd because that's the street where I live. I'm in a lot of pain. My legs are stinging. I really need some water. I'm feeling giddy. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, nowadays much nicer and more relaxed, but back then families remembered the ones that didn't come back.
I'm in immense pain again. I mean, really, really bad. Oh. Looks like the sunburn's fading, but it's actually not. What's happening is that the skin is completely blistering, so it's losing the red colour. Anyway. Ow, 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 ow. This is plants rubbing against my legs as I'm trying to go past, so I'm totally last in the group. And here we go to another bunker. He knows I'm going to be last in. And I've had nothing to eat or drink since 9 this morning either. Sorry. Oh God, I'm such an idiot. Thank you. Ooh. So it's nice and cool in here. There is a slight smell of weed, but I have a feeling that's probably not weed. Not weed. Just not weed.
Wherever you need something big, cross track.
We meant cross track. Wow, the edge, that's a bit crazy.
And that was the German quarry in World War II as well, actually. There's a railway all the way up there, it's that railway line. So just take care as you come in, lots of trip hazards here. I'll talk you through it and just let you guys wander around. So picture this room as the room with the bunk beds in it, but this is a medium-sized bunker, so we go up in size. So the hooks on the ceiling, you'll see the chains would drop down and 3 tiers of bunk beds. So this is your wood. So
Resources available.
yeah, that's it. So you wind up with board or just paint. So some bunkers we've seen painted with the wallpaper, basically a pattern on it just to break up the boredom of what you're seeing here. You don't do a bit of pin up stuff and have maps, charts and pin up girls.
It actually looks a lot deeper
from above and it goes inside.
So we're now over in the southwest corner. This is Noamon, which is the place I was going to bike to if I needed to. And I don't need to now because Rhea's part of this tour, so that's great, and I get to go down as well. I thought I was fine on the journey over, sitting there comfortably, moved my legs, got out of the minibus, and then agony. But I'm alright now.
Upset the spiders too much.
Yeah.
Give you a nasty bite. Right, give me a second just to get the lights on. Right, and there's a room behind us for the opposite. The photos on the wall here of the gun we're about to visit in World War II, so it gives an idea of what it looked like in World War II. Yeah. Yeah, so these sites are used as well as the anti-aircraft. So this site I think was used in Angola 7 times. It's not a lot of use, but enough. The area here is responsible for bringing down.
Amazing.
Nothing much here, it's just...
That's nice, isn't it? It's all done with AI.
Yeah, it's nice view.
None of it's real.
Yeah, so you're standing on a black bunk in hours. Feel free to use the railing on the left. And when you go down, there's a railing on the left here. Grab onto that. You're on the side. Thank you. So watch your head now, though.
Is there a cafe?
No, you think there'd be ice cream shop?
Yeah, damn right.
No chance, that's it coming down. No, you're fine. Just grab the railing when you're going down. Just be careful, maybe it's slipping at places.
Must be trees in here,
15 degrees all year round. But this bit of a trip hazard as you come through. This is 5-star accommodation. Thank you. Running water. So this is the middle floor. Above us is the top floor, which is where the periscope and rangefinders are. Behind me here is the way downstairs. So this is living quarters, boiler room, ration room downstairs, same size as what we've got up here. So this top floor is administration and rangefinding. So telecommunications, radio, escape shafts, and just picture kind of desks in here, like it's in a huge office. Above, and if you're happy with the vertical ladder climb, you can go up there. We call it the oven this time of year because it's quite warm, but it's an 8-inch thick steel dome. But inside there are 2 periscopes and a rangefinder, which is the great thing we saw on the outside. And then behind us this way is the staircase to get you down to the living quarters. Okay. This is a 5-star bunker. Just take care of the cable here, so just the dehumidifier. And this is the size of the projectile they were firing from the gun we were just at. So they covered, I've got 2 more projectiles there and a big brass case. These are entry groups who have visited, and then left there regimental shields. Used to be a big thing, but you see that these days. Some interesting over the years.
What's this? Oh, it's a thing, isn't it? It's a thing for holding the thing, that boom thing. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought they had that in World War II? Right, so I'm now way underground. So deep, in fact, you can actually feel the Earth's core. That might be a lie. Oh, wow. It's weird to think that this place is only occasionally open. Let's see how much there is down here. Just good friends. Oh, the thought of performing my play Bethnal Green in a space like this, which wouldn't really work seeing this is a German site, but you get the idea. Nice and cool in here as well. Well, I've done the trip with the bunkers. We did 3 and a bit in the end. I'm in so much pain, so much. I know it's clearly what I'm going to be saying every time I turn this camera on, but it's absolutely true. It's Wednesday, another day. Battery charged on camera after taking some flash photographs and a couple of days use of it. And this morning I picked up my bike. This is the first time I've been on a bike for 30 years. Now granted it's an e-bike, but I've not used any of the facilities yet. I'm just cycling normally without any of the extra stuff. And it feels amazing. Wobbly for a few seconds, and then all of a sudden it was there, and just the speed and the wind, the coolness, it was like flying. It felt amazing. So after about, what, 10 minutes, I'm now something that would have taken me about 50 minutes to walk. So I'm now at St Matthew's Church, which is also known as the Glass Church. So I've locked the bike up. Incidentally, my combination lock is 2006, because it makes no harm at all with you knowing that at this stage. So let's go in and have a look at it. Doopy-doo-doo. And here it is. It's nice, isn't it? I think the word Lalique comes to mind, and I'm sure almost every person with even a passing interest in antiques who visits here said exactly the same thing. I'm the only one here. So here's a map of where it's been this morning. So I'm staying there. I picked my bike up from there, and 10 minutes a cycle to there. Now today I'm going down there, across there, all the way up there, round that bit, round a bit more, and then back down that way. Feeling great at the moment. Let's see how much breath I've got left by the time I get back this evening, or indeed if I abandon it halfway through. Wow, glassy arsey. It's very lovely. It's like being inside a big blue glass bottle. I'm sure that's something that Jesus said on many occasions. Yeah, definitely glass. It's not plastic. There's flowers along there to represent Bibles or something. It's very nice. So worth 5 minutes of your time if you're in area, and if you're not in area, don't come, because it is only worth 5 minutes of your time. That's their big djembe for when they have tribal drumming sessions here. Bits of meditation. Yay! But I've ridden about 5 miles from where I picked up the bike earlier this morning, which is potentially about as far as I've ever ridden in one go. It's ridiculous. Although it is slightly e-bike assisted. I'm only using a light setting for it. But I'm doing this little one in tribute to the late Tim Grundy and the Eye from Two's Country. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, there's masses of episodes on there, including the Jersey episode when Tim and the Eye came here about 25 to nearly 30 years ago. So first I'm going up to the Fisherman's Chapel. Chapelle de Saint-Marie. That's what it says. And here's the main church. Which I understand is very, very old. It's all made of local granite. This makes it look ancient, like an old passage tomb. I could just do without other people being here. So I'm reading up. Information seems a bit confusing, but nevertheless, loads of dates for the main church. Saxon recorded his being here before 1035, loads of additions afterwards, and the Fisherman's Chapel at the side was the site of the first church, which is from the 6th century, and that's really effing old. So I walked down this path here, If I've not mentioned yet, the sunburn feels a lot better today. I think the fact it's nowhere near as hot and the wind's blowing on me, and the fact I sat in a cold bath for about 2 hours last night might have helped. It still hurts a bit, but nothing like it was. Let's see if I'm still saying that by 5 o'clock. I'll probably figure I've said that later and say it all over again. So I'm now going down to the north side of the church, and this is where the German cemetery was. So all of these gates there are wooden gates there with swastikas on them, and a bit of the path outside is original, some of it anyway. So it led down here, and all of these were the graves of oh maybe the entrance is that one up there. I think it was actually. Ignore that entrance, that's a stupid entrance. It was here. So all the graves here were for German soldiers, and the bodies were repatriated back to Germany some decades ago. There we are, so that's the original gate posts. A bit of the original paving here. It's very odd seeing old photos of it. It was filled with graves here. Everyone looked exactly the same, like a war cemetery. And they all had a German cross on them. Thankfully they weren't covered in swastikas, but the gates were wooden ones. I don't really know how many German soldiers died here. I mean, the cemetery here was full. You wouldn't have thought it'd been that many. Right, on. Another 15 minutes cycling uphill now, which is going to be interesting. Make sure I don't fall off the bike. To a murder site, because it's time for one. So this plaque confirms and corrects. The reason there were so many graves here is because it was from the First World War as well. People here as prisoners of war. And the body taken in 61, so decades ago was sort of correct. But reinterred Mont de Rune Samalo. I pronounced that perfectly. And I'm guessing that's not in Germany. Right, back to the bike, as if it's not been stolen. Onwards. I didn't know if I managed to get to this one, but I have managed it. This is 9 Clos d'Atlantique. And it's apparently said to be it's quite down a hill, but it's really not. It's a nice community around here. Okay, the bungalows and they're not so well built, but they're still, I wouldn't guess, a cheap property. So it was here on the 10th of October 1987 where Nicholas Newell, who was 56, and his wife Elizabeth, who just celebrated her 48th birthday that day, they were both killed, bludgeoned to death by their eldest son, Roderick. And he and his brother Mark buried the bodies up at the other end of the island. It's got to be said, they were all of them pretty unpleasant people. The parents especially. They gave the kids a really bad childhood. They weren't kind to them at all, treated them badly, spent all their inheritance. And obviously this is what really annoyed Roderick, because he was a bit of a gambler and had a lot of debts. So he bludgeoned his father to death in the sitting room and his mother in the bedroom. They'd just been out that evening for a meal, and it had erupted into a huge row. And they got back, and Mark left, and Roderick stayed arguing with his father and killed the both of them. And it was here, and they eventually got caught and imprisoned. Both of them are now free again. Such an innocuous looking house, but they always are. And see family living here again now. So I'm keeping it fairly quiet so I don't disturb anyone. Car coming this way, so I will turn back. I'd say I'm about over a third of the way, maybe 2/5 of the way through today's cycling. It's going all right. I mean, I'm working up a sweat. I'm breathing heavily, but you know, 30 years without riding on a bike, and I've done about 10 miles today already. You know, not bad, I think. Well done me. Anyway, I've stopped to film here. I'm going to go and see my first prehistoric dolmen here in Jersey. And the reason I've filmed right now is because there's a family just went past me, friendly enough. And the mother closed the gate on the kid who had to walk over the top, about 7 years old. And the kid went, "Who do you think I am, Jack the Killer?" Work on Google's very useful. Le Mont Grantais. It's a Neolithic passage grave, about 6,000 years old, and there used to be a mound on top of it until they excavated it in 1912. They found 7 skeletons inside. One of them was a kid, all crouched, lying on their sides and accompanied by limpet shells, bones of cattle, deer, horse, pig and goat, and small bits of brightly coloured pebbles. It's very important that you know that. You can't get in it. See, they've fenced it off. I mean, you know, you could potentially... Oh, maybe you can. Oh, you can get down to it, because there's steps there. And it actually goes to the other side, so maybe you are intended to get in it. Maybe this is to protect you from the weather. Anyway, I'll go inside. So here it is inside. Of course, one was forgetting that when steps are very high like those ones, the skin on my legs still hurts enough to go ow when I try and stretch a leg. But there it is. Down there. Down there. I don't know if I could try to... No, I don't think I'm going to bother. Usually it'd be a doddle, but I can't. It's pain. These are stones here. They're bloody old, them. Bleeding old. Little chamber at the side. Just shine me torch down there. Said it ain't a torch, it's a bleeding camera. Bleeding camera, I knew that. Right, get me hand down there. See what I can see down there. Can I see nothing? There it is. Worth coming to Jersey for all by itself. Now I'm going to go up to some German defences and up to Plymouth Bay, which is where I stayed when I was 9, and see if I'm still there. Nice little cycle, that one. Mostly tiny little back roads. Not much of it uphill at all, so that was lovely. I'm now at Batterin Moltke, which is, that's it, there it is, amazing, which is very close to Plymouth. So I'm up in the northwest of Jersey. Obviously wind blowing in the camera. Let's shield. Should we shield it from the wind? Should we do that? Has that made any difference? Won't know till I play it back. Guns. These guns were crap, because what they did, they put them in here, and every time they'd fire them, they just smashed down the concrete wall on the other side. Pointless. Those silly Nazis. And up here, there's another one, which has been painted by local school children for Pride Month. Ooh. It's so spooky, it goes nowhere. It goes there. That's it. This is the most shit tourist attraction on Jersey. This is the notorious Jersey Maze. It costs £3.50 to go in, and you've got to try and find your way out again. So you're going through the entrance here, and you find yourself, you go all the way around, and then you can stand there. And it's very, very clear from the smell that this is used as a pissoir. So I've just been in there, kids, so you don't have to. Let's walk around other bits, because that's what I'm doing. I've left the bike a few minutes, walk over there all chained up. There is no one around. You can't even cycle around this bit, it's far too rocky. Look at the amazing view! Amazing! And I'm just heading over to, is it Naval Lookout MP3? I'm presuming it's MP3 because it's you know, it's a standard format. It's reasonably high density. I mean, it's 320 kilobytes a second, so it's a pretty good MP3. Not quite WAV standard, but better than a compressed WMA. Warning, closed circuit TV. Don't go down there. Don't go down there. Don't you dare go down there. Don't you go down the steps. You come back from the steps. Don't you get back up now. Don't you go down the steps. Don't you look in there. Don't look in there. Get back up. Go up these steps here, get away from it very quickly. Because there's ghosts in there. Nearly trips up then. That would have been hilarious. This wasn't here yesterday. It appeared mysteriously overnight. Came from Mars. Hopefully it's full of apple juice. I could really do with some of that right now. Oh, this is where junkies die. And guess what? It smells like wee again. So let's have a look what they used to see. That's what they saw. And look sideways and see that. But look out. So nothing. Years of nothing. And there it is, MP3. There's Grozny Castle up there, which means Plymouth Bay is over there. But I've got to go and get the bike again first. I don't think I can get in it. In fact, I'm fairly sure I can't get in it. It might be worth having a meander. I might meander. There's no harm in meandering, is there? It's not illegal. Shut your face, do what I want. Meandering with Philip, episode 1. Get off, said Philip. What an exciting story it is so far, boys and girls. Are you enjoying it? I'm enjoying it so much I could shit. No, you can't get in. Oh shit, said Philip. But he still went and filmed through a hole in the window, and undoubtedly he would see nothing. But let's give it a go. Nothing. Oh, it smells of Hitler around here. Do you know the sort of smell I mean? Sort of like about 5'6", pencil moustache, very angry, barks like a seal. Not very nice. It's that sort of smell. I'm not going to fall down there. It'll be a dangerous thing and it might hurt, so I'm going to go back up again. My bottom's getting quite painful now. That saddle needs to be sorted out. Sort the saddles out. So I'm getting very close to the castle. There it's over there. Never seen it before in real life. But I just passed this little bit on the end here, and it's made of the same stone. I'm not sure what it is. Is this anything to do with it? I wanted to film it anyway, just in case it was. If this is anything to do with the castle, then it's bloody amazing, and if it's not, then it's not. I so need a drink. Yay, somewhere I wanted to visit. One of the reasons for coming back to Jersey, one of many. So this is Grosnes Castle. So if you take the bit of German, a bit of French, it means Big Nose Castle. Built in 1330. In ruins by the middle of the 16th century. So it had a short life and not very interesting one. The only thing is that Richard de Carteret held it against the French in the 1460s. That's it. Mostly used for locals, for sheltering cattle. And this is indeed pretty much all that's left, and it is as small and actually it's smaller than I thought. It's more like a folly. No, not at all, people. I'll happily spend a couple minutes for you to slowly pass by me and have you totally ignore me when you get the other side. Not at all, not at all. Right, I'm inside it now. Grosnes Castle may take its name for the Old Norse words Granes, the grey headland. Well, that's bollocks because it's Big Nose Castle. Well, apart from the information of the date it was built, most of the stuff on the information board there is different to what Wikipedia says. Take your choice. I'm sure no one's going to lose any sleep over it. Alright, so this is the enclosure bit then. This is inside the proper castle. Locally made granite, this is. They put all the ingredients for granite, shipped it over from Portugal, and then made it here. That's exciting. Very easy to attack because there were no walls. This was a room once upon a time. Now that was a corridor at best, and that was a room as well. That was used for things that were kept in rooms. Over there is a corner bit. I'm now going to inspect the corner bit to see what we may see on the other side. I bet it's a very big drop down. Holy pants. It's, oh my god. Oh my god. That's a long way down. Look, nothing like a long way down seeing it on a TV screen. Trust me, it's a long way down. There was never anything on this bit here. This was always kept clear in case there was some important building they needed to make up here. Rather like back page papers they used to have. You know, they'd have a bit blank in case a sudden headline came in they're expecting that never actually happened. Definitely telling you the truth. Here's some old steps. They're not very old, and they lead down to hell. There's a naval town from the other side. Meh. Go up the other side of the castle now. You can probably tell because it's exactly the same as the other side, but symmetrically so. In fact, the artist Isha was given a, well, what's the word? When you're paid to write something. Not consolidation, it's not commiseration. Oh, the thing, a commission, it was commissioned, that's it. Isha was commissioned to rebuild this in the 1930s, but every time I went through the entrance you'd exit again upside down. Oh, I'm such an intellectual comedian. Here's another room. This was the room where Mr. Cabbage from Elizabeth Castle was provided with his cabbages. Just the two of them. Another couple of walls there, they're very exciting. This was voted the best foundation wall in Jersey in 1934. You don't know, that won't be on the internet because the Nazis destroyed the information. And this room here was reserved for the Queen, but she never visited here, so they never finished building it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tour of Big Nose Castle. I'm now going to go further on round the corner, see two massive great wicker puffins and revisit my childhood at Plemont Bay, which is no longer there. So I'm at Little Plemont now. The old holiday camp is over there somewhere. Those German ruins are just behind where the holiday camp was. So we're heading over there very, very soon. In the meantime, I have two big puffins made of wicker. Sometimes puffins are here, but puffins are not here now. I just walked up Petit Plemont to see this little interesting bit of a ruin. You know, could it be German, could it be something else? Sort of thing that would appeal to me as a kid. And then I suddenly looked to the side and I realised that is exactly where the picture me and my dad was taken in 1979. Photo coming up. All that's left of Plemont Bay Holiday Camp. This fenced off. This was the old swimming pool. It's insane. I remember passing by here. So there were chalets along here, all the way along there. Our chalet was about there somewhere. I'll go and have a look in a moment. The entertainments building was over where that guy was with the dog. I'd say happy memories, but it wasn't the best holiday camp in the world. Now I can't be exact because there is nothing left, but looking at the old maps and trying to use satellite mapping where I am now in conjunction with that, as near as Dammit, this, or maybe this, certainly the bit above because we were staying on the floor above. This is where we had our chalet when we stayed at Pontins Plemont Bay in June 1979. The old swimming pool's over there. So we've come out then and down clanky metal steps that everybody who was staying there would hear them do it as well, and then go over in that direction where the entertainment hall was. There's not a trace of it. So there's that swimming pool, which you can't even tell is a swimming pool now, it's just a dip. And that is it. Funnily enough, I don't remember that old bunker being there. I thought I'd have remembered that a bit more. I knew there were German things nearby, but not that close to where we were. So, old bunker, sealed. That's the old one. So this is where the entertainment hall used to be. Right along this stretch here. Slightly uphill. No recollection of that, or not. So the main hall bit was over there, and then there was a kind of upstairs bar-y bit, and there's a whole upstairs kids area. So this is where I got chased by some kids from Essex, and they're going to beat me up, and they got me cornered in the toilet, so I cracked one of them in the head with my plastic cast after I'd broken my arm, and they ran away crying. This is also where my brother won the talent contest for his magic act, and I didn't win because I didn't really have an act. I just knew I was going to be a performer, but I didn't win. And that is something that riles me to this very day. And this is where I met an old couple. I got on with them really well. I can't remember where they were from, but I really liked them. They were very boring, but they were very sweet. I've still got a photo of them somewhere with on the plane we got off, and the old guy had his leg in a cast, and so because I had my arm in a cast, I thought, you know, we struck it off quite well. They'd be long dead by now. I mean, they must have been about 70 in the 70s, so, you know, probably even their kids are dead now. Anyway, this is it. This is, and you can still see where the road came in. Look at that. It's funny with all the buildings clearly, it looks smaller than I remember it being. Mind you, being 9, I won't remember it. But see, you can see this. Look where my finger is. See that? That's where the road came up to the buildings. Bloody hell. Well, that's a thing, isn't it? Wish I had some more photos taken that time. This is the thing with photos in the 70s. You know, people, they're expensive. Especially flash cubes. Oh yeah. And you had no idea what you'd take until they came back from the developers. So you couldn't just snap away like now. Oh God, I sound so old. So we've only got 4 photos of the entire holiday. Nevertheless, this is the entertainment's the main ballroom of Pontin's Plemont Bay. 44 years ago, plus a couple of weeks, I was here with my family. I got something wrong. That wasn't the road in, that was a service road around the site. So I think I remember things like that, there's camp shop and stuff over there. I bought a lot of Jersey fudge there, which contributed to my obesity. It was this road, this was the road in. Look down there, you can see it goes down, you can see it curves round. And there's bushes at the end, which was the road up from everywhere. It was here, this was the road into the holiday camp. Abandon hope all ye who enter here. It's a lovely nature reserve, it's just heathland. It's just barren, but there's lots of birds around here, and that's nice. Ow, I've just fallen down a bank with all the sunburn. Grazed myself a bit. This is about 30 seconds after it's happened. That to me looks like burst blisters, damaged the camera casing. Oh, sod it. I am so knackered. It's gone 5. I've had to cut some of the things I was going to do, and I'm still not done. I've got to cycle all the way back down across the island to get back to the digs. So this is Grav de Lec. There's 2 sites connected with the Newell murders here. I'm in the spot of one of them. I don't know where it is, but somewhere along this path I've walked, and it's a fair distance, is where the brothers burned a lot of the parents' possessions. I found a little fire there, and the body dump site was in the woods on the other side there. But this particular angle, this is again one of the shots from 1979. I'm not in it, but my mum is, along with a couple of people that my parents met on holiday, and I have no idea who they are. So cue another shot. Now, I'm not sure, but the crow's nest is along this road here, and this is the house that the Newells owned before they sold up and moved to Clos de l'Atlantique. And so this might be it. Very old person there appears to be drinking champagne, which says a lot. If it's not this one, it'll be another one slightly further down. So I'll film them both. I'll only put one in the video. Well, if it's not that one, it's this one. I have a feeling it's probably the other one, but we'll see. They both got different names now. That's if the names have changed at all. But maybe this was the crow's nest, where the Newells lived before selling up. Again, no idea. I know it overlooks the bay and it's on this road, and there's only 2 houses here. Knew it was a white building, and that's a white building, and that's not. But neither of them have the name the crow's nest now. If you look on estate agents' maps, it is listed as being on this road around this area. So either way, I think I probably caught it without knowing. A bit like a disgusting disease. So there we are. It was the second one that I filmed. So that's got to be the crow's nest. As I say, it now has a different name, but you can't really blame them. So no murders happened there, but the Newells did live there. That's where the kids were brought up and then sent away to school. Didn't have much of a nice life. And that the parents sold just to get money and go off and have fun and not leave anything for the kids. Right, I've got to go off and try and cycle again now. I'm in pain again. I was wrong about where they buried the bodies. It was behind the Moulin de Lech, but it faces away from Grave de Lech rather than towards it, so it's actually the woods back there. No idea where, it's a big place. There's a TV crew across the road right now. I wonder if it's anything to do with the case. Probably not. Onwards. Somehow, with an excruciating mile walk uphill. There's a mile, it felt like a mile, probably half a mile, steep hill with the bike, because you weren't allowed to ride it. Frankly, I don't think I would have been able to in this state anyway. As I left Grave de Lech, I have now arrived at the Devil's Hole, which will be my last visit of the day. Now, I came here again with my family in 1979. And I remember, first thing we did was pass this great big stagnant pool, deliberately stagnant. It looked like grass, in fact. I thought you might be able to walk on it, with a big Mr. Satan in the middle. And he's gone. He was a fiberglass one. They've got a different Satan now. And there he is. Have a quick word with him. The pool in question looks more unkempt than it was. I remember it being square, almost like it, you know, it was designed to have a Satan in it. But there he is. Hello, Satan. How are you?
Well, actually, at the moment, I'm feeling very angry.
Why are you angry at the moment?
Because I'm Satan, you asshole. That's why I'm angry. There's too much good in the world.
What about Putin?
I didn't do him. He just did that himself. That was freelance work. None of the stuff I used to do is relevant anymore. And plus the fact I've got no hands. And I'm very angry about that too. Now piss off, human.
Amazing views, lovely breeze coming in. Just the right temperature. Feet hurt. Honestly, for someone who's got a big bum, my bones are aching. Not sore, just that saddle is not comfy. So the last stop of the day. I'm here about 2 hours later than I thought I'd be, at least, and had to miss sights out. But, you know, it's been a lot of travel today. And I find myself here at the Devil's Hole. And although he's been with me all day, I've not brought him out until now. But as it's the last stop of the day, I thought I'd actually bring Heffy into the picture. Hello. Hello, Heffy.
I remember this place.
You don't, because you've never been here before.
I was here. I was here before in when you were here last.
In 1979?
Yes.
I didn't know you then.
Well, I was here.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes, oh, I remember.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't think you were, but have a look. Have a look. There we are. Have a look down there.
What is it?
Well, it's the Devil's Hole, apparently.
The what?
The Devil's Hole.
Oh, I've been here.
No, you haven't been here.
I have. I think I remember. I've been here before.
Right, well thanks for that, Heffy. Anyway, this place, French ship called La Josephine, got wrecked here in 1851, and one person died who was the son of the captain, and the figurehead got washed up, and they put arms and legs in it, made it look like a bit like a devil, and it became Devil's Hole after that. There's been loads of devils here over the years, firstly down in the hole, then up here looking down, and then up in the stagnant pool up the top, which is where I remember one being many years ago, fiberglass one, not the one that's there now. So there you are, and I didn't read it all on that panel, so don't look at that, it's not real. Well, this is the final thing I'm going to do today before cycling back to the hotel, which apparently it's 4.5 miles, mostly on the flat, so that shouldn't be too bad. Now this is now an art shop and a glass studio, and this is where, at the age of 9, I bought Woofit. Woofit's got a felt ear, it's been dragged out a bit over the years. Now when I initially bought him, I called him Woofter, and my brother very quickly pointed out to me that that was a daft name for a dog, for so many 70s reasons, so he became Woofit shortly afterwards. He now lives in my bedroom at my parents' place on the Isle of Wight. And there we are. There he is, you're going to zoom in. There we are, that's better. I have no idea how much he cost, but I know that I bought him just as we went to visit the Devil's Hole, which is where I am. And it was the gift shop, and this was the gift shop, and this is it. This is where you come from with it. Tap the handle. So he's at least 44 years old now, which is twice as old as me. Shut your face. You're back. Touch the other door. There we are. It's done. So maybe before I go to bed after a smashing meal and in so much pain, I should show you where I went today. No fancy maps, it's just a big map of the island and my finger. So, I started off from round here somewhere, and I went and got my bike. And I went, oh, let's go all the way along there, and then I carried on all the way along there. That was St Matthew's Church there. I went all the way along there, and carried on and down there to St Breled's Church, and then over there for a murder site, and then I went up and across and ended up somewhere around here for the Neolithic site. Then I went back over here for Battery Moltke, and then the Naval Station MP3 there, and then Grosnes Castle there, and the Puffins were there, and Pontin's Holiday Camp was there, and then all the way over to Grodelec, and I missed out a Neolithic tomb there because honestly I couldn't do it. And then a horrible journey going uphill there, and then finally on to the Priory Inn, the Devil's Hole just there, and then I went across the island, down like that, all the way across, and then straight back down to the hotel. That was what I did today, and if they don't sort the saddle out, I am not biking it tomorrow. I've decided. So my last day in Jersey. Here comes a car. I took my bike back to the rental place because there is no way at all I could have managed today. I honestly, no, I couldn't. There's no way I could even sit on a bike, let alone do anything else. Very painful. So what I did is I returned the bike, and I've got myself an all-day bus pass. So I'm doing bits of walking, bits of busing, and I'm so glad that I've done this and not tried to bike it. Anyway, I am now in the Rue Laurence, which is down pretty much in the southeast corner of Jersey, and this is the potential murder site and definite dump site of a 20-year-old Finnish au pair called Tula Hirk. Her body was found and she disappeared on the 30th of December 1966. She was waiting for a bus at St Saviour, and presumably she accepted a lift from someone. It was raining heavily that night, and she was then found later on here, and she'd been bludgeoned to death around the head. The case has officially never been solved, but there's a definite suspicion that Paisnell, that the Beast of Jersey, who I'm doing several sites connected to today, was the possible murderer, because he was very active around that time, raping women and children. Happy holidays. So rest in peace, Tula. I'm sorry England was so crap to you, but it's not England. Sorry the British Isles were so crap to you. And now onwards up there. Doing my regular thing of having arrived in the middle of nowhere. Let's let this car pass. Now this building here looks somewhat innocuous, but the left-hand side of it, if there's anything in Jersey which is close to Ed Gein's farmhouse, it's this building at the side here. This particular structure, known as Bouleveau Lodge now, it looks like the main part of the building is actually unoccupied. But this is where Edward Paisnell, who was born in 1925, between 1957 and 1971, he was living here, estranged from his wife Joan, who also it appears may have known more than she let on, in this little side building here. And when he was caught in 1971, he was convicted and sentenced to 30 years for 13 counts of assault, rape and sodomy, and all his victims were young women and children, boys and girls. His wife worked at a home called La Préférence, a children's home, and Paisnell himself would often play Santa Claus there, which is chilling. Now, he had one main room he lived in this particular structure, and he had a curtained off area, and in this back room the police found the stuff he'd wear when attacking people, his several masks and coats with nails and pins pushed on the outside, so if only to try to grab him whilst he was attacking them, that obviously the nails didn't go through their hands, and a whole collection of books on the occult. Yeah, a vile individual. You can see a picture of him as well. I mean, if anybody looks like a convicted sex offender, my God. So, yeah, this is where it was. He got sentenced, I say, 30-year sentence. When he got released, he tried to move back to Jersey briefly, and unsurprisingly, he got hounded out. So he died on the Isle of Wight in 1994. No view inside the window. Frosted glass, I'm assuming there's nothing viewable in there. No. Ugh. Nasty man. So I've walked a couple of miles inland now, and now I'm going to carry on further to visit an old Neolithic monument before going on to Gurry. I'm back at Le Rugby. I was last here, surprise, surprise, in 1979. I remember coming out here. I remember there being, the main thing for me was the German bunker, and I just remember there was something to do with the chapel and a big Neolithic mound nearby. Funnily enough, at the time I recall it being much more about the German site here than anything else, and of course the massive thing here is obviously the Neolithic thing. It's one of the biggest passage tombs in northwest Europe. But I'm going to go down and see this first. Got about 40 minutes to do this in. So this is now used as a memorial, which I think is pretty fitting. And now I'm going up the stairs to the 12th century chapel. If I did this or not as a 9-year-old, I don't know. I might have been too lazy. Nice, but there it is. So this is the crypt at the chapel. It says circa 1520. Now here's the funny thing. When this was built, it was reportedly used for fake miracles. This is meant to represent the tomb of Christ. As I don't know what's going on through there. Nothing's going on through there. That is it. That is what you see. So they charge people for fake miracles. Nothing bloody changes. Right, now into the chapel proper. And so here I am in the chapel proper. Very, very echoey. So this is ancient as well. Bits of rebuilding, but it's an old thing. Press button for show. Button pressed. It's a great big sexy light show. What are you doing? Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I think we all need a piscina during the day. I definitely am in need of a piscina. There's meant to be some old 16th century wall art in here of archangels. I ain't bleeding seeing them. They lied. They lied to me. They didn't lie to me after all. There's like 2 chapels here. I thought there was another room beyond it. The Jerusalem chapel. So there we are. There's an archangel there and there's an archangel there. And what are you going to do about it? This is where they'd stand when they were having a concert. So there'd be one there and one there, the shorter one. And the massive great PA system there during sound and light things whenever the archangels come in and do a show. And that's what this commemorates. The last gig here was in 1968. So there was a hotel, like a stately homey thing with fake crenellated towers and stuff up there called the Prince's Tower. And this is thought to have been the well for that from the early 19th century. Hello. No reverb there at all, just a big spider's web. And all these things were stones then. Of course things have changed since that time. Right, let's carry on round. Let's go, oh, here we are. Let's go and have a look. In the darkness, in the darkness, in the darkness, in the very low bit. I don't know if I can do it cause my legs hurt too much, but let us see, let us see, let us see. Hope you enjoyed that song, it's one of my favourites. Right, let's hold the camera thus. Let's see what I can do. Well, it's not easy. Do you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to be able to manage it. This is a shitter. Let's leave my bag there. Let's see what I can do. Crouching down. Trying to get through here. It's really cold as soon as you step inside. I mean, my back is right against the roof, but I believe after the entrance it widens out a bit. Oh, there we are. I managed it. Me guessing too dark to see much, which is a big pain in the pooey pan in the bottoms. And here I can stand up. You probably can't see that, but there's a pillar there. That's a prehistoric pillar, obviously, made by the Romans and the Jacobeans in the early 19th century. That's Airbnb. Le Rugby standard. Going up here, that's a big slipper for a Yeti. Amazing artifacts they got here. I'm treating this place with such historical respect. And then you've got the end bit here. At the present moment, the whole passage tomb is lit up with fairy lights. Now when I say the whole passage is lit up, what I mean is that the outlines are picked out with little lamps. That's a joke only some of you are going to get. And I may have paraphrased, but you know what I meant. What's round here? Ah, brilliant. They got an old 70s stereo there. That was used for entertainment purposes. Yay, I managed it. Ow. Okay, I hit my head and that hurt quite a lot. Ow. Right, so if you come here, mind your head. Big time. I'm now going to leave again. And I'll find one of the entrances before I move on. What are you doing up there, Heffy? I'm waiting for a bun. You what? I'm waiting for a bun. Why are you waiting for a bun? Well, it's the Hogue bun, isn't it? It's the Hogue bee. Not waiting for a bee, I'm waiting for a bun. Come on, Heffy. Off to Gory. I want a bun. Can I have a bun, please? Hello? Can I have a bun? Nearly another dark history site. I should have got off at the previous bus stop because it was about the same distance. I had no idea that I'd be walking from ground level up to it. And the previous one I could have just walked on the flat. I will never learn. So this is the view over Gory. It's beautiful, isn't it? This is Bergerac country, really. This is it's so 80s. And here's another grim crime site, almost certainly anyway. So this was set up as an industrial school. It's better known to the world as Eau de la Garenne. This later became a children's home, and it was here in 2008 where an international media storm broke. There'd been so many accounts of mental, sexual and physical abuse of the kids here, and stories that some of the kids had been murdered here, that the police were called in and they found what they thought was a child's skull behind a staircase. Turns out in the end it was analysed months later and turns out it was actually a bit of wood, almost certainly from a coconut. They did find 65 human teeth in there, but they were thought to have been lost naturally. There were stories of you know, well, sort of grim stuff. They weren't in kind of underground chambers, or they didn't find anything there. But the main idea was that this had actually been used for murdering children over the years. They didn't find any bodies on site, so those stories are probably not true. It's almost certain abuse did happen here. Primarily it was this right hand side of the building here that the police were concentrating on, just under the ground level. And there's a lot of, you know, notorious individuals are associated with this building. At the time it happened in 2008, there were claims that Jimmy Savile was involved, and Savile, who was alive then, said, "It's nothing to do with me, speak any more about it and I'll sue you." And then someone came out with a photograph showing him here with the kids, although he claimed he'd never been here in the 1970s, and he shut up then. But he didn't die a long time before. Also, the ex-Prime Minister Edward Heath is said to have abused children, or taken children out from here and abused them on yachts. And Wilfred Bramble from Steptoe and Son. So he's still remembered so fondly because of the comedy, but the fact of the matter is he was almost certainly a child abuser. And there's stories that he did that here as well. And Edward Paisnell, of course, the Beast of Jersey, he didn't work here, but he did do some work here at times. He was used sometimes as a handyman, although this wasn't his place of employment. There were calls after the scare, although not scare, the wrong word, after the crisis, yeah, to knock the building down. Locals wanted it destroyed because it had such a horrible history, in spite of the fact there probably weren't murders here. But it got saved, and it's now a youth activities centre. It's the JAAC hostel. It's curious enough that they've got that memory of a war memorial of the boys who'd stayed here, who'd actually died in the war. But there it is, Hotel Grand. Well, this is very Children of the Stones. This is Faldewey Dolmen, and it's 6,000 years old, give or take a week. It's unusual in that it has 2 chambers. Hooray! And there's little boxes at the side, they're called cysts, and they found human remains in them. And that capstone is 24 tons. First recorded in the 17th century, already excavated 3 times by 1910. Looks great, doesn't it? So here's the entrance. The curly-whirly entrance to the thing. Let's go straight through here. Right, my last bit of walking done, and I'm now here at Monogoy. Monogoy. Which sounds like a very phlegmy type of dance. Anyway, I appear to have walked through the back way, but I've paid for a ticket already, so presumably there'll be an admission thing around here, and I can show them my ticket and they'll go, oh, you are legit. You don't look it. Stairs there. It's nice, isn't it? I need a drink. Medieval gate and associated features. So these are the associated features. They wanted something more than that. But no, that's it. They're going to remain associated features forever. Now the first thing you see when you enter the Tower of London is the refreshment room, which is the oldest refreshment room in the tower, and the only one. A bit of Dan Leno for you there, because I know how much you love your 120-year-old musical, Everybody. So that's all a bit gory. It's very pretty here. Nobody would guess this is where they used to throw chickens over the wall. Thousands a day just thrown over the wall. If you were poultry, you wouldn't want to be here, mate. You'd have big issues. I mean, you wouldn't have big issues because they didn't have it around then, and you know, you wouldn't get much money for it anyway because not many people could read. Dramatic. Dum 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 dum. Clear my throat for the big announcement that this is the Iron Gate. Of course it is. What else would it be? That's not an interesting view, so I'm not going to stop filming that. What's around here? Oh, it's a giant. Basically, that is how my legs feel at the moment. It's like it's mocking me. infected something wounds, paralysis, yeah, shattered bones, feels like it, arrowhead lodged in femur. Well, you could have that with a bike saddle yesterday. Cannonball strike. Oh, cannonball strike. Right, no, I've not had that. Oh, there's an interesting looking gate as well, isn't it? It looks like it's a castle. How's this for a view? Just walked up some side steps. Bloody kids. They are the ghosts of children. There's no real children here. No. Just these little spectral 14th century spooks running up behind me. Oh God, it's like a horror playground. Right, I'm leaving here. Freaks me out. This is the middle ward. And again, it looks amazing. I think it's because it's a nice sunny day. A little breezy. It was meant to be drizzly and overcast and rainy today, but no, never happened. Yes, I am sticking on the sun cream. Every time I feel my legs are getting warm, I'm doing it again. Has it made any difference? Of course it hasn't. The old chapel that was in use 5000 BC when people were trying to make up God. It's not in use no more. We've got an interesting thing here, because this is a genuine medieval knight that was turned to stone by the witch in Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. And it's just as well, really, because he was at that time trying to turn a cow or a lamb, not quite sure which, into a hat, which is a bizarre, cruel thing to have done. So, you know, it's good and bad and everything. And this horse here, he likes that. Let's see the happiness in his face now. So let's walk on into this dark, spooky room. Castles are full of dark, spooky rooms. And oh, it's vaulted. Oh, nice and creepy. The long cellar. So that's where they did their ritual sacrifice of babies. This is all ghost noises, by the way. There's no sound effects. It's genuine supernatural noise, including the little skip in the CD there. Obviously, those farty noises are obviously explosions in the time-space continuum. So like the streets of Prague. You've seen the hole in my trainer, look at that. I only bought it a couple of months ago. Throw them away and write to Thatcher about it. Right, leaving the long cellar. Back out. Horse's arse. In there is, well, virtually nothing. There's some stairs that go up there. Wonder where they lead to. I'm not going to show you that because it's dangerous. I've got to think of the kids. Not in a Gary Glitter way. The long cellar again. The middle ward. The potlog wall. Yay. And now above the long cellar, there is only a centimetre of rock between me and crashing dangerously to my death. There's goalposts over there for medieval football. That's a cupboard for storing the footballs. There's cricket stumps over there. They're very confused about what they were playing. Let's go down over here. Oh, this is something to do with misery. Please, this is the please be careful. Prisoners, or les prisonniers. I don't think I'm going to go down the stairs. I'm certainly not going to go down there because that means I'd have to get back up again, and sod that. Not with these legs. So these are the 3 wooden prisoners of Monogoi. They were persecuted by the townsfolk in medieval times for being made of wood, which apparently meant they're a witch. Burner! We either see him as a duck. There's Jesus after a game of footy, sweeping up all the sausage rolls that have been left. Jesus did that. That's the home strip. Tradesmen in the castle. So it's either a game or an act indulged in by consensual couples. Right, I'm going to go up there now. Could this be ascending the steps at Farnham Castle? Or could there be a player piano that has to be taken from this level up to the top? That's Walnut Avenue up there, 1127's nearby. This is it's a well house as opposed to a sick house. And it can do the winching, except you can't because it's frozen solid. Let's look down there. Hello! That's a long way down. On the other side of that, that's Australia. Which is a bit freaky because that wouldn't be on the other side of the world. It's a myth. Wouldn't even be New Zealand, it'd be somewhere in the Pacific. So shut your face about it. This is another room called the Please Be Careful. At the end there, the Incredible Hulk ripped that door off the hinges. It says it's closed, you can't go down there right now. I wouldn't go down there anyway, because too many steps. Mount Gate. A place or an instruction? What's around here? Toilets this way. I don't know where to go, there's so many places. Let's try here first. Stairs in there. Big open green area here. The Northeast Tower and Mount Gate, which you must do several times a day. Well, it's nice enough. Around the corners, there's the toilets. Just the toilets around there. Don't need one at the moment because I've had a wee whilst I've been walking around talking to you. I've just wet myself. What's in here? Stairs going up. Nap, 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 nap. Let's give it a go. And you couldn't go back down in a minute. This is a very good castle. Do you know what would be even more amazing? Visiting the castle when you were fully well. Your bum hadn't fallen off and your legs didn't look like you were bloody in a bomb. Northeast Passage. Of course it is. It's my favourite of all the angles. The northeast. Only when it's passages though. So great big breeze coming through into bloody hell, it's Game of Thrones. Oh, that's good, isn't it? So basically these two kings were lovers, and she's a witch, and she said to make your love official, you need to kill all these people, and that's exactly what they did, and that's a true story. It was written by Pliny the Younger. Christ, there's more steps. See, this has got bloody everywhere. I've got no idea. I'm going to have to give up. I think this is possibly the most impressive castle I've ever been to. It might be beating Ludlow. There's so many rooms. Just keep on walking from one to another. up and down stairs all over the place. Lost within about 5 seconds. No idea where I'm going. Might just sort of do a random bit and in the end just give up and leave. Oh. This is the Corbel Tower on the first floor. And that was it. Oh Christ, there's more steps. Where am I going? It's like every room we enter, there's 2 more exits to it. It's insane. And I'm very angry about this because I have no idea who I am, what I'm saying, where I'm going, and indeed if I'm ever going to get out of here. Oh, this is a spooky looking room. What's it? The Southeast Tower. Nah, see, I like the Northeast Tower. Oh, Christ almighty, it still goes on. Toilet. 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 It is. It's just sealed off. I think this is where the shitter was. Which is the official medieval term. Well, they called it le shitter, but I just translated it to the English because you wouldn't be able to understand it otherwise. Oh, the steps going up to the roof. Dare I? Sod it, I've got to do it. I'll only do it the once though. I have no idea who they were. I was just doing that to be a meanie. Again, Southeast Tower. I'm still not up the top. I've got to go up there yet. Oh, bloody Nazis. Where does that go? Doesn't go anywhere. What's the point of that? I'm right at the very top of Monogoy. The only higher bit is there and I can't go there because it's full of deadly stuff. And Heavy sitting on a cannon. Am I? Yeah. I wonder if there's any buns here. I don't think there's any buns. There used to be cannonballs, not buns. Have a look out over the town. The bun shops there. There's probably bun shops there. I remember when I was here before. You've never been here before? I think I have, you know. When were you here before? The other time I was here. When was that? Well, I don't know, I can't expect me to remember everything. You're an elephant, that's easy to you remember everything. It's just want with you, isn't it? And today, I'm not going to answer. Let me point something out for you as I take my camera over here. Walking over this bit, right. Now let's rest this on the wall to steady it a bit. And let's zoom in. Because that horizon now that is the French coast, that's Normandy. Go across a bit. I don't know how steady I can keep this because I can't really see much on the screen. But yeah, that's France. This is the Dead Queen room. A bit odd. The Great Chamber. This is next to the Amazing Chamber. And it is, oh, this is pretty cool. Oh, I like this. I mean, there's no, you can't get into it. It's like big drop down. Or maybe you can get into it, but I certainly can't see a way in. And there's this effing great dragon thing here. I like this.
There was a more personal association with the Queen when she unveiled the royal arms of King George VI. Neither true, but her father had brought comfort to the islanders and to the much their liberation.
The Rock Room. And this is the natural bit of the castle. They built up some floors, and then this bit grew naturally on top of it. This room's got an atmosphere. This room feels creepy. Notre Dame de Château. Statue of the Virgin displayed in the 1920s. That's no, a statue of the Virgin. There she is. The headless Virgin in 3 bits. Got the head, abdomen and thorax. Was it? Yeah, that's right. I learnt shit at school, you know. That's the serving counter for coffee. That goes upstairs again, so I'm not taking them. So I assume this was a little chapel used for the playing to puppets. Just bang my head again. That's baby Jesus doing that for my heresy. Oh, here we are. This is the great big dragon. You can get in here. You just chance upon it. There we are. The rooms behind the great chamber. That's their official name. Mind your head on the way out. Now, he should have been one of the extra wooden prisoners, but he had clothes on, so they didn't do that to him. Very fickle lot, the medievals. Right, so that's done. What's the time? 2:45. Onwards. So that's the castle, Dan Mollogoy. I think I did pretty much all the rooms in the keep. It's difficult to know for sure. There's so blasted many of them. I didn't do all the staircases. That was never going to happen. Let's get myself down to the pier. Photo I need taken. And then I'll get my bus back to St Helier, visit a museum briefly, pick up my bag, off to the airport. Quite pleased. Southern Tower. Don't like the Southern Tower at all. I almost missed this bit on my way out. Just a tiny little doorway by the entrance. And I come through and it's this exciting wall. There's some castle ruins back in England that this is all there is of the entire castle, and there it's just stuck at the side. I don't even know it's there. There's a lesson in that somewhere, I'm sure. So one final spot. I was running for the bus and the bus driver just shut the door on me and just looked at me blankly as he drove away. What an arse. But this angle here, the photo's coming up in a minute. The last one I got from the holiday we had here in '79,
I was there, my brother was there, and there was an old lady standing right there who had nothing to do with anything, just walked past, stood there and waited till my dad had taken the picture, then carried on walking like she was meant to be in the picture. But that's coming up now. Now this is portrait rather than landscape, so it's going to look weird on the screen. I'm in the Maritime Museum now. Just been to see the occupation tapestry. God knows who that is. It's Lucky's darkest thoughts. Was that you, Heffy? I'm telling you. I'm still very annoyed. This is quite sweet, this Maritime Museum. I thought it was going to be a bit childish, but it's charming. Any elephants under the sea? I hope not. Turn wheel to make waves. Oh yeah, look at me making waves. I can do that. I'm the only one up here. Tales from the Rock. Nope, it's not telling me any stories. Oh, okay, it is. I think it's got all these sensors in it to see if someone's nearby.
Throughout most of my many years, I have never failed to be amused by the gullible nature that you humans possess.
Sounds a bit like Heffy.
The slaves of a most
No, it doesn't.
imagination, and this is illustrated particularly when you cast your eyes to sea. I think it is the vastness of the water, its powerful waves, and the trifling insignificant current between the little rock waves and its to-ings and fro-ings. I could not possibly comprehend.
It's a great big slush puppy machine there. It's very quirky. Press and hold. Oh. This gallery's full of things like this. Nothing's going on there. Yet another gallery. So if you come to Jersey, come and check out the Maritime Museum. It is not boring. I thought it was all going to be to do with the history of fishing and all these bits about boats and blah blah blah. It really isn't. It's fun. Puffins. Is that it? Is that what you're going to do? That's really worth coming upstairs for. Oh my god, there's more. Press button. Well, that's changed my life. Oh, this is more about boats and stuff. Oh, look, it's me. Ships in bottles. And they're quite charming. Not too interested in how different knots are done. Not interested. See what I did there? Not interested. I'm so clever.
The nearest fastened at the moment was wooden dowels, which go through like that, and we put step waters in underneath the thing, and the hole through. So there's a trapping along there.
Christ, it goes on. It's quite big, this place. I thought it was small. It's not as big. I'm going to have to hurry up because I've got about 10 minutes left before I need to leave. Pick up my bag and then go back to the airport. Models of the boats. Models of the boats. The Devil's Hole.
Hello, I'm Mr. Seaton. Now go away.
Thanks for that.
You're very welcome, you arse.
Lots of boat models. Yeah, if you're into boats, then that would be great, but I'm not into boats, so it doesn't really do it for me. Oh, nice. This will be the last bit. They're getting balloons set out for summer.
I'm not scary.
So that's the Maritime Museum done. There was so much more that I just hadn't time to view it. That's the steam clock, which is very impressive. That's where I met for the bunkers tour I did on Tuesday. Now it's back to... Oh, I can cross now. Now it's back to the bike hire place to put my bag up. Then off to the bus station, which is just around the corner, off to the airport. I'm at the airport having a couple of drinks. So today's journey went from where I was staying, around here somewhere, dropped off the bike, and then got a bus from there all the way down to there, and then I walked up there to Rue Lyons, which is one of the murder sites. Then I carried on all the way up here to, oh god, was it somewhere around here, where the Booster Jersey had his house. Then up to Le Hogby, which is here. I walked all of that. Then I got the bus through to Gorey, got off a bit early, went to see Haut de Lion and the Foldray dolmen nearby, walked into Gorey, went to Monogoy Castle, floated down by the bus stop, and all the way back on the bus to St Helier, went to the Maritime Museum there, and then took a route all the way down here and up there and up and up and up and up. And I find myself now, where am I? Here, at the hotel, at the airport, waiting for me plane, which boards in about half an hour's time. So that was my route. Yes.
I don't think you did.
I did, Heffy.
Well, I think I would remember if you had.
What makes you think you'd remember if I had?
Because I'm an elephant and I remember everything.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. We both agree on that. Can I have a bun, please?